Hello, my name is Pauline Cullen. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to manage your time in the IELTS reading test. The IELTS reading test lasts a total of 60 minutes, and that's the same for general training and for academic reading. And during that time, you have to complete 3 different sections, answer 40 questions, and transfer all of your answers onto a separate answer sheet. You are not given any extra time to do that. A lot of candidates find it difficult to do this in 60 minutes, so you need to manage your time very carefully. This image shows you how I recommend that you use your time. Each reading section is gradually more difficult, and section 1 is the easiest. So I've suggested you spend 15 minutes on this section, then 20 minutes on section 2 and 20 minutes on section 3, and this will give you 5 minutes at the end to check your answers. The reading test is a test of your reading skills, so it's really important to begin by reading the passage first. Don't read the questions first. You will not be able to guess any of the answers. The questions are written very, very carefully to make sure that you can't do this. So it's a waste of time to read the questions first. And it also means you'll focus on information that you cannot know or guess without reading. As you start each section, just look very quickly at the question types, but only to satisfy your curiosity. So start each section by skim reading the passage. And that means reading it quickly, but not in detail. Skim reading the passage will give you a general idea of what the passage is about. It will also help you to see where the key information is. And so it will help you to answer the questions more quickly. If you find it difficult to skim read, then you might find it useful to just read the first and the last sentence in each paragraph. For section 1, skim read the passage for no more than 2 minutes, and for sections 2 and 3, no more than 3 minutes. You then have 1 minute for each question. In that time, you have to read the question carefully, scan the passage to find the relevant part. You do that by scanning quickly for the key ideas or words in the question. A lot of the words will be paraphrased, but names and dates will stay the same, so this can help you find out where you need to look. Then you read the relevant part of the passage in detail, and then answer the question. And transfer your answer at this point if you can. While you're answering the questions, write the question numbers in the margin of the reading passage. That way you can quickly go back and check later. If you can't answer a question, move on to the next one. Don't spend more than a minute on it. Perhaps you'll think of the answer when you're answering another question later. And always remember that the answer may be before or after the part of the passage you've identified by scanning for keywords or ideas. The IELTS test is a fair test, so the questions are presented in the most helpful and the most logical order. So answer the questions in the order that they appear on the question paper. Don't go straight to your favourite question type. The questions are in the same order as the information in the passage. That's except for all matching questions. So that's matching headings and so on. And that's because the test here is on you finding out where the information is. So these are in random order. With completion tasks like notes completion, summary completion, diagram completion, and so on, some of the questions may be out of order. That's because the task takes the information from the passage and puts it into a different format. So, for example, a flowchart has to put the information into chronological order. In other words, the order that the events happened or will happen. and the passage may not describe them in the same way. If you stick to this plan, then you should have 5 minutes at the end to check your answers. First, make sure your numbering is correct and that your answers match the correct question number. Don't leave any gaps. Put in the answer your reading of the passage tells you is the most logical one. Check that any spellings you've written are correct. There are no half marks for an incorrect spelling. It's also not a grammar test, so you're not asked to change any of the words in the passage to answer a question. You should not change a word from singular to plural, for example. And make sure that if the question tells you to choose 2 letters, that you've written only 2 letters. And if you have to write no more than 1 word, make sure that is all you've written. Again, there are no half marks, so your question will be marked wrong if you write more than you are asked to write. And finally, if you have any extra time, check any of the answers you were not sure about. If you're worried about vocabulary, you might find my vocabulary learning app useful. You can find a video about that on YouTube. You might also find my IELTS books useful. I wrote the skills section of the official Cambridge Guide to IELTS. And I've written 2 IELTS vocabulary books, as well as 2 books related to grammar. And if you have any feedback, or if you would like more help, then you can find me on Twitter, on my IELTS Weekly Facebook page and website, and through my Flipboard magazine. Thanks for listening.